Ladies and gentlemen, what am I going to do with all that rice and pasta that I've been putting away for all of these years for the apocalypse? Someone asked me that question here not too long ago. I was like, hey, it's not the end of the world that I can't really eat rice and pasta anymore. Not that big of a deal, but I know a whole bunch of other people that can still eat that stuff and survive on it. Like my wife, my daughter, my son, daughter-in-law, Michael, when he gets a little older. But I just thought it was kind of funny. But in all reality, that food, to me, right, is what I would call starvation food, right? So like all of the things that I have now put away and I have put away for the past several years, all of that food to me would be starvation food, meaning that if I was facing starvation, just a second, there's a car that's going to pass me here in a minute. So if I was facing starvation because there was nothing else to eat, of course I would eat that, right? Of course I would eat that. So to me, that would be like starvation food. However, there's still a lot of things that I can put away. And I put out a video. It's so funny. And we're just talking, ladies and gentlemen. We're just talking and going for a little bit of a walk. And if I start breathing hard, it's because I'm going uphill right now. But it's kind of funny because I put out a video yesterday sharing with you 2 recipes that I do that are very low carbohydrate, and they're mostly fat and protein. And during the beginning of the video, I specifically said, now I know this is the internet and some people are going to be like, oh my goodness, this is too much fat, this and that. And some people may even blame me for destroying the world because I'm eating a protein-rich diet. And guess what? My wife tells me after the video's been out for a couple of hours, she says, the very first comment on your video was, man, you're going to have a heart attack. You're eating too much fat. Oh, goodness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, everyone's different and we all have to do what's best for us. Now, I have absolutely no idea if eating like that is going to be what's best for me. I don't know. I do know that a lot of people eat like that, and they attest that eating a mostly, if not all, animal protein diet, an animal fat diet with no plants at all has changed their lives. I've seen a lot of people's testimonials saying that. So who knows? But then how do you find out unless you try, right? And I actually just came back from getting my blood work for my second official hemoglobin A1C test. So I'll find out next week what it is, and we'll take it from there. Now, I'm getting kind of excited, really, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure if it's excited for a good reason or not. But the reason I'm getting kind of excited is because I've been doing this. I want to call it a ketovore, right? It's called a Ketovore diet. And I hate calling it a diet because to me it feels like it's something that I can do long term. I've actually been doing this for about a little over a month and a half now, where the meals that I eat, first of all, I'm doing intermittent fasting, but the meals that I eat are very low carbohydrates and very high in protein and fats. So my fats are probably averaging at least the same amount, if not higher, than the grams of protein that I eat on a daily basis. And I have to tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good all over. My headaches are completely gone. I am still drinking an electrolyte mix, but not every day like I was before. I'm drinking it maybe like every 3 days now. And when I drink it, I only use a little bit of the powder instead of a full scoop. So it seems like things are starting to balance out. And who knows? Maybe this can be something that I can do long term and that it will be beneficial to my health long term. But we'll find out. I'm assuming that when my blood work comes back this time around, that it's probably going to have a higher cholesterol. But do your own research, ladies and gentlemen. I don't jump into something right away just because I've seen it somewhere. I really looked at a lot of different things from a lot of different doctors. And I love YouTube because you can find pretty much anything that you're looking for on YouTube. I know that there are some things about YouTube that none of us like, right? But when it comes down to it, you can pretty much find anything that you're looking for on YouTube. And I've found some channels like Dr. Barry. That's one. Dr. Chafee or Chaffee. That's another one. Dr. Fung. The Diabetic Channel. I found Sugar MD. I found so many channels and I found so many sources of awesome information. Let's see, which way do I go? Do I go down that big hill that looks like it's going to be a pain in the butt to get back up because it's snowy? Or do I go up this hill that's a little bit less of a slope or a little less steep and it looks like it's clear? All right, this way it is. But yes, you can find so much great information, on YouTube. And a lot of times you don't even know it's there until you actually need to look it up and find it. So I think that the journey that I've started, and for those of you that want to ride along, I'll be sharing that journey with you here on this channel because this channel is not only about preparedness, but about us sharing our experiences with each other. So that maybe something that I find out that maybe somebody doesn't know, they may benefit from, and vice versa. I mean, I am really the beneficiary of most things on this channel because I think I learn a lot more from you all than what you learn from me. So I do appreciate those of you that leave comments that are useful down there in the comments section. And of course, I can't read all of them. My wife helps out by scanning it every once in a while. But I do appreciate it because somebody can get something out of it, right? If not me, somebody else will get something out of it. But look at this day, ladies and gentlemen. What a beautiful day it is. Wow. And it's about 20 degrees outside. That's why I'm wearing my jacket. But a beautiful day. I feel really good today. And let me tell you what I ate yesterday. This is kind of amazing. All I ate yesterday, and I feel great, by the way. I was fasting. I've been fasting since about 5 p.m. last night. And right now it's about 9 a.m. in the morning. 9 a.m. Yeah. I just got back from getting my blood drawn. But all I ate yesterday was 1.5 pounds of hamburger meat with about 1/3 of a stick of butter. I know some of you are going to be like, AP, you're going to kill yourself. That's okay. That's okay, because if I do, it's me, right? And then you can learn from that. However, I don't think I am. I don't think it's going to work like that. But we'll see what happens. But like I was saying, I feel great. And that's the good thing about intermittent fasting, is that you give your body a break from having to process all of that, energy that you're putting into it. So not only does it consume the energy that you're taking in, but it uses energy in order to process that. And your body gets a break from doing that. So that's what I ate yesterday. Put down in the comments, what did you eat yesterday? How is being a diabetic going to change the way that I prep? Pretty much, I'm still going to prep, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to continue to freeze-dry meats. I was actually considering selling my freeze dryer because we have a whole bunch of freeze-dried meats, and I've already probably made my return on investment on that freeze dryer 3 times over since I purchased it, compared to how much meats I processed through it. But now that this came up, I'm going to have to go ahead and do a lot more freeze-dried meats and put a lot more of those away, because now I have all of this rice and pasta and stuff like that that I was depending on before for if anything happens. But now, really, in order for me to be able to maintain my health during any kind of a crisis where we have to dip into our food storage, then I'm going to need to have a heavy protein diet. And preferably, for me, a heavy animal protein and animal fat diet. So I'm going to go ahead and ramp up my ghee production. I'm going to probably go ahead and do at least another maybe 2 or 3 flats of ghee, and preferably quarts. So that's my goal, 2 or 3 flats of quarts, because that does go a long way. I'll continue to stock up on coconut oils for fats, which that's a good oil. And of course, it's all virgin, and the olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed. All of the good oils, getting rid of the bad oils. Make soap with your bad oils if you're looking to get rid of them. Okay, make soap with them. Don't just get rid of it. Another thing, putting away good salts. Putting away some Redmond. I think that Redmond salt is really, really good. But the pink Himalayan pink salt was just as good as well, too, I believe. But I really have fallen in love with that Redmond salt. I just ordered some of the Redmond salt that is smoked. I think it comes in hickory, it comes in cherry, and I think it comes in a combination. But I ordered a little pack of 3 to see what it tastes like. Because I'll tell you what, when you're consuming mostly meats, you really want to be able to change up the flavor profile of the meats, right? Just having it with salt alone, it gets boring after a while, right? But if you can change up the flavor profile, it's even better. And these are the kind of meats that I'm looking at probably stocking up on so that I can begin this journey that I'm going to begin more than likely next week. And I'll probably share my first Ketovore, right? My real Ketovore, which is going to be closer to the carnivore meal with you next week after I get my next A1C test, and I let you all know. I'll probably share that first meal with you, and maybe I'll do a weekly blog like this to tell you all how things are going and to see if I'm progressing in any way that's positive, right? And that would be a great way to document this, not only for myself, but for my family, and for those of you that may be thinking about starting on a journey where you start eating a lot less plant-based things and more protein-based, animal-based proteins and fats. And I know that some people are going to think that I'm crazy and I've lost it, and that's okay, all right? It wouldn't be the first time, because you always have your critics. I mean, you have your people that say that the only thing that you should be eating is plant-based foods, right? And some people say that if you only eat animal-based proteins and fats, that you're killing the earth, right? And everyone has their opinion, ladies and gentlemen. But the trick is this. The trick is to try to learn from one another. Try to learn what someone has to teach you. And then make sure that you're open to new ideas that maybe you haven't heard before stated in the way that you are being introduced to it at one time or another, right? Because science changes all the time, and things that we were being told about sugar, right, and about proteins and meats back in the 50s and 60s, maybe they weren't so truthful with telling us that protein, animal protein, is not good for you, and then telling us that sugars were good for you. And now 50 years later or 70 years later, we come to find out that, yeah, maybe sugars really aren't that good for you, but do your own research, right? Do your own research, ladies and gentlemen. You're the one that's going to have to live with the consequences. For example, I'm the one that's going to have to live with the consequences of the decisions that I'm making right now. Let's say that my cholesterol goes to 1,000. Are you going to have to live with that? No, I am. That's why I've done my own research, and I've concluded that this is probably the best thing for me to do. And I'm going to find out here in the next few months if it is or if it's not. But I've seen enough testimonials, like I stated earlier, where I'm convinced that this is worth trying. I can't wait until all of this snow is gone, because once it's gone, I'll be able to go on longer walks. I don't like to go out on the main roads when the snow is on the ground, because I lost control of my vehicle a little over a year ago. I lost control of my vehicle on one of these back roads here. And because it was all ice, and I ended up getting into a fender bender. But what I think about is, what if somebody would have been walking along that path that I was in? And I lost control, ladies and gentlemen. What if somebody would have been walking? There's nothing that I could do, and they couldn't get out of the way. So thinking about that, I think it the same way. What if I'm walking out there on the side of the road, right, on the shoulder, but a vehicle comes around the corner and loses control because there's still ice on the roads here in the back sides, in the back parts of Fairbanks, and they have no choice, and I can't get out of the way. So I like to go on longer walks once the snow has melted, more for safety reasons than anything else. Let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's see. I heard that the debt ceiling, it looks like they may be finding a deal for the debt ceiling. I told you all months ago that there's no way that the debt ceiling is not going to be raised. They have to raise the debt ceiling in order to be able to maintain or retain power, right? So the debt ceiling will be raised. And they'll tell you, oh, yes, we raised it, but this and this is going to be great. Doesn't matter because we're on the hook right now for about $800 billion a year now. It's costing us $800+ billion a year, ladies and gentlemen, in order to just service, not pay off the national debt, right? So let's take a few minutes to do a little thought experiment. So let's say that your household earned about $46,000 a year. Not only do you make $46,000 a year and spend all of it, but you have to borrow an additional $11,000, $12,000 a year to make ends meet. Now, let's say that out of that money that you have, you need $800 every single month. $800 every single month just to pay the interest on your credit cards and your loans. So that's about $9,000, $10,000 a year. Let's say $9,000 a year that you're spending on just paying the interest. And on top of that, you're borrowing $11,000. So the money that you're borrowing is about what you need to pay off the interest. And you do that year after year after year after year. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think will eventually happen, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, eventually you're going to go bankrupt. And you're going to lose everything, right? Eventually you're going to go bankrupt, or you're going to get foreclosed on, or your car's going to get taken away, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you're never, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Because even if you stop borrowing, you're still going to be spending $8,000, $9,000 a year of the $46,000 that you make on paying interest just on your loans. So you're never going to get out from underwater. Right? Now, what I just explained to you is exactly the same position that the government is in. All right? Because the government is in about, $31, $32 trillion in debt, which doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter how much debt the government is in, because the debt can never be paid off, ever. But what matters is out of the $4.6 trillion or so dollars that the government takes in taxes, right? You remember the $46,000 that you're making in your family? Well, now let's take it over to the government. They make about $4.6 trillion in taxes, right? They take it in taxes. And on top of that $4.6 trillion, remember that you had to borrow about an additional $11,000, $12,000 a year? Well, the government has to borrow $1.2 trillion a year. And this year is going to be even more. On top of the $1.6 trillion that they collect in taxes, they're going to have to borrow that much more. And then out of all of that money that they get, this year, they're going to have to take $800 billion, more than $800 billion, just to service the debt, just to pay the interest on that debt. And they never have a plan on paying off the debt. So they're just going to continue to get on debt more and more and more. So what do you think is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think is going to happen eventually? All right. Now, eventually, the family that makes $46,000 a year and that borrows $11,000, $12,000 a year and has to pay $8,000, $9,000 a year in interest on all their credit cards, eventually the credit card companies are going to stop giving them credit. Eventually the banks are going to stop lending them money because they know that their loan to income or debt to income ratio is just way too high. What do you think is going to happen with the Treasury of the United States? Why do you think that they want so badly to introduce the CBDC that they've been working on for years? Remember years ago when I talked about this CBDC that's coming down the line and people were calling me Chicken Little and that I'm crazy and I'm a conspiracy theorist? Well, that's the CBDC that I'm talking about. The one that's being introduced here probably by mid-year this year. And if not, soon enough, because it's the only thing that's going to save them from losing all their power. Right? Once that CBDC that they introduce, once it fails, because it will fail, all right? You have to understand that CBDC will fail because it's just another form of fiat currency. It's just more constrictive. It's just more controlling. It's just a form of fiat currency that they can use to control you even more than what they have in the past, using bank accounts and using checking accounts and fiat currency, you know, in cash. So it's just a more controlling one, but it's a fiat currency nonetheless, and eventually it would fail. And when that finally fails, for whatever reason, right? Whether it's a revolution, whether it's people just boycott everything and stop spending and stop going to work, whatever it may be, when that finally fails, then they will come back and say, what if we back our currency or our dollars with something real? And then, ladies and gentlemen, the new cycle will begin. The new cycle of the fourth turning will begin. And we will be into spring again. And between now and then, however, is why you want to be prepared. That way you can make it between this paradigm and that one. And I know that for those of you that are still here, God bless you for being so loyal that you're still listening. All right, and I love you very much for doing so. Let me go ahead and cut it off. For those of you that did not watch the video that I put out yesterday on the Dabson 2300, it is the biggest solar generator in capacity, that is, that I've ever reviewed. So go check it out. And to tell you the truth, the price, in my opinion, is not cheap, all right, because it's 8,300 watt hours, right? It's not cheap. Technically, it's 8,330 watt hours. So it's not cheap. But I'll tell you what, that solar generator did a great job. I'm even considering maybe this summer running my entire house off of it for like a whole month to see if we can actually do it. So go check that video out if you haven't. And even if you're not in the market for a solar generator, that way you can at least see what it's like, know what it does, and all that kind of stuff. That's how we learn. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, let me let you go. I have to get to the house to have my coffee with my wife. Have a great rest of your day. God bless every one of you. Tomorrow on Friday, we will be having a live stream, and there will be one giveaway, believe it or not. It was a surprise to me as well. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.